Alright, we're going to be taking a look at Milwaukee's new Gen 2 Fuel M18 hammer drill today, and this one is one-key enabled. So what that means is it's got Bluetooth connectivity, so you can customize your tool profiles, peak torque, peak speed, ramp up time, things like that, in addition to an awesomely powerful hammer drill right here. Alright, I've got the bare toolkit with this, which means it doesn't come with any batteries or a charger, but it still does come with the auxiliary handle. And that's for high torque applications. It just screws on the top right here and clamps on, screw it down tight, and now you're ready to be able to handle the 1,200 inch-pounds of torque this thing offers. That's 100 foot-pounds. That's a lot, especially over a radius arm. This isn't even a foot away from the drilling head, so you've got over 100 pounds of force twisting you if you get some bad kickback. So luckily this offers an electronic clutch as well, where you can limit the torque and keep yourself from getting any kickback injuries. So the hammer drill specs are 0 to 550 RPM on speed 1, and then on speed 2 you disengage that second planetary set, and you've got 0 to 2000 RPM. It's a brushless motor. It's got 32,000 beats per minute on the hammer drill setting. The whole thing weighs 3.4 pounds without a battery in it, and it's 7.6 inches long from end to end right here. It's got 13 different clutch settings for when you're doing driving mode, and it's got hammer drill setting, driving setting, and drilling setting, along with your Bluetooth setting for programming the tool. You can see the little Bluetooth one-key icon pops up and lights up here when you've got it set on that mode. So let's take a closer look at some of the features. Alright, now for our close-up detail view. We've got a 1/2-inch chuck on the front of this. It's got a little bit different texturing than the older hammer drill that I've got from Milwaukee. It's good for getting a good grip on it and tightening your bits down. You've got your clutch setting right here. It goes from 1 to 13, and that's obviously used with your driver mode from this selector switch. You've got your hammer drill mode, which is rotation and the forward hammer. You've got your pure drilling mode, which is just rotation without a clutch setting. And then you've got your one-key mode. That's not present on your other drills, and what that does is it enables these settings down here. And so as you select one key, you can go down here and select your profiles. You've got 4 different profiles. As you press this center button, it cycles through them. And then you've got your one-key mode, which this is used to connect to the phone or your Bluetooth app and program these individual modes. So if you're a little bit worried about, oh man, like I've got my phone's controlling my drill, I have to rely on my phone for my drill, you actually don't have to, because you can just completely turn those modes off and use your drilling, driving, and hammer drill mode without those. And if you want to use them, you can come back and turn it on. And there's also a factory reset for all of these modes as well. And then you've got your speed selector switch right here. You've got 1 and 2. 1's going to be low speed, high torque. It engages that extra planetary set. And then when you pull back to 2, it disengages and locks that planetary set, so you only have a 1 planetary gear reduction. So you'll have a little bit more speed at the output end, but you get a little bit less torque. So your 1,200 inch-pounds of torque, that's 100 foot-pounds, is going to be on setting 1. On the bottom here, you've just got your regular battery slide for the M18, and this drill actually comes with a belt clip, and this is new from Milwaukee. I haven't seen this before. This bolts on. You can see it's got a screw that goes in right there, so you can remove it if you want to. That's a bit holder. That's something that's really, I feel like, has been missing from Milwaukee tools. Most of their drills don't have that, and it's nice to have that option down here. You can take it off if you think it's too bulky, though, and get rid of it, or toss it in the tool bag. Just a quick size comparison. We've got our one-key Fuel Gen 2 drill right here. This is the older, several generations, compact hammer drill. It's not fuel, it's not brushless. It's got 525 inch-pounds of torque, I believe. Remember, this one has 1,200 inch-pounds of torque. You can see they're pretty much the same size. The fuel version is a little tiny bit taller, maybe 1/4 of an inch. It's actually 1/4 of an inch shorter than the compact hammer drill. So they're squeezing almost like 2.5 times the torque out of a drill that's pretty much the same package. This one's a little bit wider, to almost imperceptibly wider, I'm pretty sure. But they've done a really crazy feat of engineering in just a couple years. I think this one's 2 years old. They've almost doubled the torque in the same form factor, and it's actually a little bit shorter. So I'm pretty impressed with that. So one aspect of this tool I was a little bit disappointed about is you can see up here on the top of this case where the auxiliary handle attaches, it's already marred up the tool surface pretty badly just by having it on there and doing the tests that I did with it. Not a big deal, it's cosmetic, it's not going to be detrimental to the tool's effectiveness, but just the attachment method for this auxiliary handle is already kind of messing it up. Another note on the auxiliary handle is since it bolts on like this, it doesn't thread in and there's no collar that moves around, you can either do it at 90 degrees this way or 90 degrees to the right, but there's only 2 positions you can put this handle on. Some other hammer drills, you can rotate it around any degree that you want. So this one's only got 2 positions, to the left or to the right. Alright, so now that we've seen this thing up close, we're going to take a look at how it does with 2.5-inch hole saws in wood. And then we're going to go outside and test it with a 5/8-inch masonry bit going through concrete block. See if this thing's up to it. Alright, I've got this set up. 2.5-inch hole saw right here. It's a wood hole saw. And it's on 1-key mode, and it's set to limit the max RPM on mode 2 to 1850 RPM, which is what this cutting speed is rated for. Now, it might not have enough torque at that speed, and I might have to put it down to 1. We'll just see how this goes. Alright, there's one down. It didn't bog down any. I was pretty good about keeping it on axis, and now I've got to pry this hole out, the plug out. Now we can do a couple more. Alright, got that plug out. Time for round 2. Go ahead and clear the plug. Alright, round 3. Now this time I'm going to try to jam it up, and then I'll switch to 1 and you can see it blast right through. There it goes. So it is possible to, if you get off axis, it's only if you get off axis on this, to jam it up on the high speed. Once you switch to low speed, it just blows right through everything. That's when you got your 1,200 inch-pounds of torque. Alright, so it definitely does hole saw as well. Let's go and see how it does hammer drill functionality with masonry. Alright, so we've got a 5/8-inch masonry bit installed, and I've got it on hammer mode in speed 2. It's the fast speed. Let's see how this thing does through 4-inch concrete block. And we're through. Alright, let's go a couple more. I'll go ahead and keep going until I run out of battery and give you a report back. Alright, so I'm 30.5 holes in. You can see I'm right here. And I think thermal protection has kicked in because this thing started to act a little bit weird. I'm almost out of battery. I'm on the last bar. But you can see here, I had gloves on. I didn't realize how hot this was getting. There's actually grease that thinned to the point that it's leaking out of the gearbox. And wow, holy crap, the metal is so hot to the touch that I'm pretty sure if I left my hand on there to burn me. So that's 30.5 straight holes, like in a row, not resting in between. I'm going to let this thing cool down a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's just about out of battery anyway, and I'll go ahead and finish out the battery. Alright, so I let the drill cool off a little bit, and got back to drilling holes here. I ended up with a total of 33 complete holes, plus the 3 from the hole saw right here through a 2x4. Those are 2.5-inch holes in wood. These are 5/8 inch diameter holes through a 4-inch deep piece of concrete block. And I got 33 whole ones and another half of one on one 5 amp hour battery. By the end here, the last like 3 or 4 holes, I could tell the battery was running out of juice because it was starting to stall on me a little bit. So it was a pretty flat power curve along the whole thing, and then right at the very end, I could tell it was starting to lose a little bit of power. The 5 amp hour batteries balance pretty well with this whole thing. And the kits actually ship with 5 amp hour batteries or bare tool. They don't ship with a 2 amp hour compact battery, and I think that's because the 5 amp hour battery and the 4 amp hour batteries can supply a bit more current because they've got 2 sets of cells in parallel, so you don't have to worry about it overheating as much, so they can supply a little bit more power. And with as powerful as this drill is, the 5 amp hour battery really complements them. So overall, once this thing cooled back down, I wiped a little bit of grease off. It didn't seem to have any damage to it at all. It worked fine afterwards. I think it was mainly just I was using the tool a little bit harder than it was meant to be used. If you're really doing this work all day long without taking a break, because this was just straight. I just did, all of these holes in a row. I was actually getting pretty tired. If you need to do this level of application, you might want to look at a rotary hammer, like an SDS type, because it can't handle the sustained operation. You can see it blasts through these things just fine, but if you're doing this all day, you might want a little bit beefier of a drill. But pretty much anything else, it handles 2.5-inch hole saws like nothing else. That's on fast. It didn't bind unless I was actually trying to make it bind. So I'm pretty sure on low, it can handle an even bigger hole saw. It'll just take you a little bit longer to get through. I'd probably wager it can handle a 4-inch hole saw on its slow setting. It'll take a little bit longer, but it's got a ton of torque. Alright, as far as one-key functionality goes, you got to go ahead and set it on the selector to 1-key right here, and then you got to make sure your mode is all the way over to the 1-key connection. It lights up blue when it's ready. You open up your app and you've got nearby, and you can manage your inventory, and you got a settings option as well, but we can hit nearby and it found the hammer drill, and now we're connected, and we can go in here and say manage tool controls. And now for each of these 4 options down here, we've got these 4 options. So I've got a hole saw set up. I've got apparently that one's not set to anything. Slow ramp up driving control, and then I think I've got drilling set on this one. Let's go ahead and retry that. Thought I had something on that one, but I guess I didn't. You can save profiles, so I had a low speed drilling profile set on that one, so I can go ahead and say save to 4. Yeah, there it is. And go ahead and save it to that profile. You got your channel set up. There it is. Now I don't need the phone anymore for using that mode if I just select 1-key up here and then I select this mode 4 in the bottom. Same with any of these. So with this one, I've got a slow ramp custom drive control. So you've got more options down here, and you can control torque. I've got it set mid-range, and these are your, you've got it on drive. These are your clutch settings right here, 1 through 13.
and then you can actually set these lower than they are normally because it's an electronic clutch. So you can set your max torque so it's only there if you've got a lightweight fastener that you don't want to shear off. You can change your speed, your maximum speed for both low speed and high speed. And you can change the trigger ramp up time. So for example, I've got this mode open right now. I can pull the trigger. And I depressed it immediately, but you saw it didn't reach full speed immediately. Now if I change this, so it's a shorter ramp up time, occasionally it has issues with, there we go, it connected. Now remember I just changed that ramp up time. Now listen, there shouldn't be much of a ramp up at all. And we can go ahead and move it back. So you can see the difference there for ramp up. We can also do, and it'll ask if you want to save the changes. No, I don't want to discard. Go ahead and go back here and hit save. Make sure it's still set on ramp up for channel 3. So earlier when I was using the hole saw, I had this hole saw setting on, and it's bimetal. That's the only option they have. And you can set your hole saw diameter, and you can set your material. Now unfortunately I was hoping Milwaukee would change the max speed when you change the hole saw diameter and the material, but they don't. So you'll have to look up what your hole saw material and diameter call for on the cutting speed, but you can set this so it maxes out at that speed. So the hole saw I was using earlier was rated for 1850 RPM, so that's why I have it set to. And there's the more options. You can also mess with the work light settings and make it less bright or turn it off or make it always on when you're operating the tool. So we'll go ahead and look at the max speed. So we're on mode 1 right now. It's almost full speed on the drill. If we turn it down here, so it still is a variable speed trigger, but it's pretty much as low as it gets, but it just limits it like a governor. So you can change it around. So I'm on low speed right now. Move it to mid speed, and then move it to high speed. So you can see for each of these modes, it automatically throws the profile up here on the drill. And there we go, it's about where it was before. Go ahead and save it as a hole saw. So it's got custom modes for drilling, driving, and hole saw. If you go up here to the setup, you've got each of these. It also does tool inventory. Get on back out of here. Oh, you can also do identify tools. So if you've got a bunch of tools sitting around, you want to figure out which one you're connected to, it'll sit here and flash. And we can go ahead and disconnect from the tool. You can manage your inventory as well. You can find all of your one-key stuff. You can even put your non-one-key items in here as well.
We took a look at the one-key functionality. It does add quite a bit of a bonus for a pro-level user who's going to be doing repetitive tasks over and over again, and you want to be able to, just squeeze the trigger and forget about it, and not have to worry about feathering that trigger, the variable speed trigger, and making sure you have the right speed. You can just pull that trigger and go full blast and not have to worry about limiting yourself. So for the homeowner, it's a nice bell whistle. I think it's an extra $50 over just the Gen 2 Fuel drill model, which has the same specs as this one does. It just doesn't have the Bluetooth connection. Really, it's up to, for a homeowner, it's whether or not you really want the extra bells and whistles. For a pro user, I can definitely see advantages. It also does the inventory management, and I've just got all my tools in my garage, but if someone has a tool checkout system, they want to know who has what tools, then the one-key can really come in handy for a professional setup. And if you hate the idea of using a smartphone with your drill, you can just not use that setting at all, turn it completely off, and use your drill like it's a normal drill. So there's nothing to worry about there if you just don't feel like adopting the technology. So hopefully this review was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below, and once again, don't forget to subscribe.